Hey yo, this guy just tried to stab me. I call the police.
Okay, so this is not clickbait. Yes, the other day I almost got stabbed right outside of my apartment.
That guy just tried to stab me with a knife. Can you call 911?
Now, this one's gonna be a little bit more different from our usual crypto or credit card type videos, but it's gonna be more of a story time and also just some lessons that you need to know in order to protect yourself and just some major things that I've been wanting to share on this channel for a while. All right, so to kick this video off, I want to give you guys just a little bit of context, just in case you didn't know where I'm from, because I think that matters. There's some people who may experience things like this on a day-to-day basis. If you're in a little bit of rough parts of the neighborhood across the states. For me, I'm like 20, 30 minutes right outside of DC. I'm in a pretty safe neighborhood, and I grew up in this area my entire life. This place is called Rockville, Maryland. It is within Montgomery County, Maryland. It's right next to Virginia. If I want to, I can go south. I can visit the Bay. I can visit a giant lake. I can also go hiking in the mountains. I can go visit the city. I mean, there's just a lot of things and diversity within this area, and even a lot of diversity within the culture. This is one of the reasons why whenever someone asks me, yo, Brian, like, where are you from? Where are you based out of? When I go to a conference and I tell them I'm from like Rockville, Maryland, people are always like, huh? Like, why are you in Maryland? Like, what's in Maryland? And one of the reasons why I've stayed here is just because of the community, the people that I grew up with, the people that I love, my family is here. And usually, depending on where I travel, sometimes I'm just like, you know, I really miss home. There's a lot more familiar faces at home, and it's been pretty good. Now, I grew up in this area. I went to elementary school here, middle school here. I was born in the United States. I went to community college in this area. And even now, while we've been doing this whole YouTube thing, it has been happening within the same area that I've lived in. What I've noticed over the past year or so is that crime seems to be coming more into a lot of these safer neighborhoods where it wasn't before. Now, according to this one website here, Rockville has been rated the 9th best place to live in Maryland with an A+ overall grade. This community is known for having some pretty decent schools, decent housing, good for families, decent nightlife, diversity, and I mean, crime safety is like a neutral, I think. I don't even know what this is. Maybe they don't have enough data, but crime is not usually that crazy around here. Now, knowing that, it just really came to a surprise to me when the other day this whole incident happened.
Hey yo, this guy just tried to stab me. Who are you? Whoa, I call the police.
To give you a rundown of the story, pretty much that day I was working, I was at a coffee shop, and I came back home because I had a phone call that I had with one of my friends scheduled. And you know, for my phone calls, what I normally like to do is I like to go outside for a walk, especially if it's nice. I went out, I found a bench in the neighborhood, really safe, quiet neighborhood that I live in. And on my way back home, about an hour and a half later, around like 6:30 p.m., I got bumped on the sidewalk. Now, this wasn't someone just like accidentally like hitting you softly. This was like a bump. And I was not aware of my surroundings at the time. And this is probably one of the biggest mistakes that I made throughout this whole situation. It was just not being aware of where I was because, you know, I was on the phone call, I had my AirPods in, and I kid you not, the door to enter my unit was about 10, 15 feet away. It was like 5 big steps and I was there. So when I got bumped on the side of the sidewalk, initially part of me was just like, yo, what just happened? Like, who did that? Maybe it was a friend of mine. It could have been. I do run into some folks around here and they could have been messing around. So initially I turned around, I was confused, and I just said, I was like, yo, do I know you? And like, what's your problem? So as soon as I had said that, and you know, I took a look at this guy, I didn't think there was any mental issues. I didn't think, you know, the situation would escalate to the way it did. But literally the next thing you know, I see this guy dig into his pocket. He had like a pink phone case, and from his pocket, he begins to pull out the handle of a knife. So it was like it was kind of like a knife like this, except a little bit crappier. And this is one of those knives where you actually have to pull the blade out, and it was literally about this length right here. And I saw him actually grip it in his hand. Now, right after that, he made a move. Like, he was trying to attack me. He was trying to literally just stab me right there. He was trying to stab me before I could even process anything. And out of just reaction, I kind of moved out my way. I stepped back, and it just happened so fast. I think at that time right there, if I didn't act the way I did, like initially, I could have just gotten poked, and it would have happened so out of the blue that I don't even know. Like, if he got me bad enough, I really don't know if I'd be here today. So in that moment, I was already shocked, but the first thing that actually came into my mind, it should have been like safety, like, you know, running back, first calling the police. But I was like, yo, what did this guy, like, what is he trying to do? And I don't know. I don't know if it's like the YouTuber in me, but it was like secondhand nature for me to pull out my phone and to record the situation. I'm actually really surprised like my phone was able to even take that video because it was on the lock screen and I don't know. I think I actually held the photo button. And if you didn't know, like if you just hold the photo button for a long enough time and then swipe it, it actually records the video. So I really think that's actually what I did instead of like turning here and then pressing it. But I remember like taking a look down at my phone for a quick second and saw that the video recording symbol, it was like going off. I had the countdown timer and I was like, okay, I'm starting to get things on video. Now at this point, this is when the recording starts. So all you see is him like trying to either run away so he doesn't get caught and me approaching him with the camera, like narrating the situation. And I think I was in such disbelief and shock too. I wasn't taking the, my voice didn't sound like serious. I was kind of like so just confused and startled. I was like, what the heck? Now, anyways, I was narrating the fact that he almost tried to stab me. And next thing you know, when he turns around, he starts approaching me even quickly. Now, this is where time for me started to slow down. Everything else happened within like a brief moment, but right here is where, for me, it just felt like everything in the world was slowing down because I saw this guy approaching me and he was getting closer and closer and he had gripped this knife like he was ready to actually stab me. My memory kind of gets lost in the situation. I don't know initially if it was like down here or if it was like down here, but it was enough for me to feel scared. But the second time around, like I thought this was it. Like I thought I was gonna be feeling the might of that blade coming through me. This guy was ready to run full speed. Like I'm talking Sonic the Hedgehog. And at that exact moment, that's when I knew I had to get away from there like really far. So as soon as he bent over, he had the knife in his hand. That's when I just booked it. I booked a beeline as fast as I possibly could to the other end of the sidewalk. Now here's where things got really interesting because the sidewalk was closing the distance because there was an elderly couple in front of me and they were really wholesome. They were so nice. It was like a grandma and her husband, and the husband was in a walker. And then there were cars parked parallel to the sidewalk. So, and on the other side of the parked cars, there was actually like a younger mother with a newborn child, like with a crib, pushing her crib. So I was really in a tough situation because I was trying to run out of there. But at the same time, I did not want to get this guy to like collide into the older folks. And I did not want them to collide into the lady with the baby. The second or third time, I decided to look back a little bit more distance, but then I look in front of me and there's the older couple. The thing I decided to do next was actually hop in between the cars that were parallel parked, because at that point I realized I can't just keep running in this direction. If he's right on me and like hurts them, that's just not something I would want. I hopped into the cars. And from there, that's where I was able to kind of like get cover and look up. And by chance, like the older couple, they were like right next to me. So I think if he kept chasing me, would have been bad. But I did have like a pretty good lead on him after I turned my shoulder the initial first time. Most of you guys already know like my story growing up. I played rugby for like 6-7 years. And before that, I played football. And you know, I'm still relatively healthy. I literally hit the gym like 6 times a week. I think I have like more than average pace speed. And in that instance though, I just was not sure. So pretty much I was trying to tell these old folks like, hey, if you could call the police, that would be good. Because initially when I talked to them, they thought I was playing tag with this guy. They thought he was chasing me. I guess they didn't see the knife, but he was just chasing me. We're playing tag, we're having fun. And they were initially laughing in the video when I had run up near them. So that's why I was like, no. Like I was trying to like bring seriousness into here and I had no idea how to do that. And you know, I broke it down like literally, this guy was trying to stab me. Please call 911. After things started to calm down from their perspective, the older folks had told me that they made eye contact with him. And luckily enough, when this guy saw them too, that's when he decided to walk away. But while he was walking away, he kept turning his shoulder. Like he kept looking back. And I actually wasn't sure if he would come back to the situation. I was walking with the older couple. I was walking to the front of the building. And that's when I decided to call 911 while I was walking back. They ended up sending some police officers over and they couldn't find him. But about 24 hours later, they did. The whole situation was just like, it happened so fast for me. And you know, there's a lot of people outside of my apartment that walk their dogs. So slowly there was like a little bit of a crowd forming. I even got a DM from a few people saying like, yo, you know what, Brian, I actually saw you outside of my apartment. I think it was you. And people who are viewers that didn't know that I lived where I live now. It was just a crazy time. The police officers came, and one thing I appreciate so much was that they were really chill. Like, cops are known to be, kind of annoying, like really like, by the law, by the books. But these two individuals, one was a female, one was a male. They're really, really cool. I asked them questions too on like, is this normal? Should I be worried now? Should people in the community be worried? And here's what's interesting. They had told me that the craziness, the crime, it's actually ramping up, even within the area that we live in, which is a pretty decent, affluent community. I'm not sure if it's a recession. I don't know if it's the pandemic where everyone was cooped up, but things seem to be getting a little bit more crazier these days. And if you guys can relate to that, let me know like what area you're from in the world and if you're also seeing an increase in crime too. Luckily enough though, out of all of it, I was safe. The guy ended up getting caught yesterday, so literally less than 24 hours. I did the math. It was 21 hours since I started filming that video. He got caught and he's pleading for mental illness and he got placed in the hospital. I don't know where the criminal justice system is gonna take him. If it really is a mental illness issue, I have no intention of trying to press charges on someone like that. But personally, I would never want anyone like that to be free on the street, just in case it may happen to someone else. I also grew up, most of you guys, or at least the OGs should know, I worked with kids with autism for 4 or 5 years. It was a job and the best job I've had, but I worked closely with kids who had disabilities, mental illnesses for a majority of my life. On top of that, something I've never talked about is that one of my close friends that I grew up playing rugby with, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and the schiz was like really, really bad at that time, and it was really tough for me to see. Now, that's pretty much the story, and through that, I was not perfect at all. Like, there are definitely things that I should have done better, which I wanted to cover here and talk about some of the things that you guys also need to consider now on a day-to-day life. This applies no matter where you live. You could be like in the complete countryside of the States, or you could be in one of the most like safest gated communities ever, but this can happen to you at any time. And I never thought it could happen to me, but it did, literally right outside of my home. So first of all, please be aware of your surroundings. No matter where you are, my biggest mistake was walking that sidewalk, not realizing that there was someone in front of me. I had my AirPods in, I was getting comfortable. And there's even a statistic that shows most crime or even car accidents happen right outside, like within, I think, 5 miles of your home. This is because people tend to get comfortable in areas of routine and even right outside of where you may live. But crime, it can happen anywhere. It can happen at any time, and even in the most unexpected places. Another thing that I happened to do good on was wearing shoes on this walk. So I was wearing my little new On Clouds that I got, and usually I'm wearing my Yeezy slides or just something more comfortable. In this situation, if I was wearing anything but the shoes that I had, I think it could have been worse. If I had fallen or tripped at the pace this guy was chasing me, even if he didn't have any like downward pressure, just from the fact that he's running and the swinging of the arm motion and it being literally a knife, it would have done some damage to me. No matter what you do, if you're walking your dog at any time in the day, please make sure you wear shoes. Please be just conscious of your surrounding. And something else is to make sure that you have some type of protection. I posted this on Instagram. I got a lot of good comments talking about like, Brian, how come you're not carrying? This is why I carry. Where's your Glock? So let me give you guys a little bit of history and background on that. So obviously, because this is like a financial crypto channel, like I'm not going to be showing weapons on this thing, but I have been into guns for a while. I've actually been educated in properly shooting, properly disarming, and using a firearm since 6th grade. 6th grade was when the first time my father actually took me to the range. My grandfather was in the military. My dad was in the military. And, something I played a lot of was airsoft. So it's literally like real guns, except it shoots plastic BBs. It was my favorite thing. I used to watch all the little airsoft review videos. I'd have some little airsoft scrimmages with my friends, and, I would just practice all the time. Now, in the state of Maryland, Maryland's really interesting. Maryland has the most amount of gun crime around here, but it has the strictest regulation amongst the DMV within all the surrounding states. Recently, the Supreme Court actually enacted a new bill where you don't have to go through all these hoops that you normally would, where you got to prove you're a business owner and go through a tedious process in order to legally carry your weapon. But just most recently, about 2 months ago, the Supreme Court went ahead and said that was unlawful. And now anyone who lives in Maryland, as long as you take a 16-hour class, which is divided up to 2 8-hour days, you can legally carry a firearm. Now, this is on the basis that you don't have a criminal record and some weird things don't come up. I went ahead, took the class, I passed it, I got perfect score on even shooting down range, and I've been waiting since to get my card. I need my ID card in order to legally carry because, just because I took the class, it doesn't mean I can now walk around protecting myself. The card still hasn't come in. At that time, I did apply for something called the Arizona license. There's also a version called the Utah where it allows you to carry in many other states too. In the future, in protection of myself and really just, doing YouTube and people knowing where I live and stuff, I'm going to be carrying a firearm, but this is something that I've always been in the process of doing, like even before this whole stabbing situation. I just am a believer in the Second Amendment and I know how to shoot a gun. In that situation, I'm almost glad that I wasn't armed because I don't know what I'd do if I ever were to have to put my gun up and in the worst case situation ever, just actually having to fire that bullet where it could possibly take someone's life. Even within the training and the classes that I've taken, the first thing that they always stress is to run if you can. If you have the opportunity to dip out of there, do that first. In this instance, it all worked out. If I had tried to fight or defend or protect myself in any other way, rather than just running away, I think it could have ended up badly. We're living in just a crazy time in life right now. People are losing their jobs. People are not in the right mental state where if you can, just say sorry and walk away. A lot of the comments on my Instagram post that I made with this whole situation was based on that, and I completely agree. Initially, right off the bat, when this guy bumped into me, I shouldn't even be curious. If someone wants to bump into me and he did like that, with me being as close as I was to my house, I should have just went in. The big lesson, if you can, run from a situation. Another thing is please be prepared no matter what. Whether it's pepper spray or even tasers, you can buy these things off Amazon. And something I did was make sure that all the loved ones in my life, they always got pepper spray on them. What's even cool is too, you have pepper spray. A lot of people don't know how to use it. It is really simple, but you can also go ahead and buy the water version or a training version of that pepper spray. Have some preparations in case. If you see or sense a bad thing about to happen, trust your gut on it and realize that you can take some precautionary measures. If I'm walking with a friend and I give him a look or I say a word, I want him to be ready that something might happen or we should be walking the other way. My partner also knows this too because at any time something terrible can happen and you just don't want to be put in these situations even when it comes to you. Okay, so yeah, big things through all of this, even just being able to carry a small knife like this. I'm huge into just carry tools and stuff. This one right here is a Spyderco. It is one of my favorite ones. I believe it's a paramilitary 3, and I've had this for about 5 years. Some of the weapons that I would consider you guys carrying if you are able to legally carry responsibly. My favorite one is actually the 43X by Glock. This is pretty much the best handheld weapon. It's small enough for you to hold. I didn't think I'd be a firearm channel. Maybe, hopefully this doesn't drop my CPM, but something like this. This is a SIG P226. It's a full-size weapon right here. It's a little bit harder to carry, but it also gets the job done. Part of me just can't believe I'm making a video like this right now. Luckily for me, a lot of my friends love to go shooting. A lot of my friends are into guns, and even the ones that don't live in Maryland with me that I grew up with, a lot of them are just protecting themselves. Please just make sure that you have some type of protection on you. The least lethal thing that you can also carry is something called, I believe it's a monkey ball, where on your keychain, you can have a steel ball where if you gotta whack someone with it, you're able to do that at a bit of a distance too. I believe as a precautionary, just general measure, everyone get some pepper spray. I used to keep one in my car. If you do that and it's really hot in your area, look into pepper gel because when it gets really hot, it can affect the spray, or if it gets really cold, the spray just will not function either. The biggest thing does start with awareness. If you feel like a bad situation might be happening, please be careful of even walking around with noise canceling headphones or just not being aware of the surroundings by being on the phone. That is usually where people tend to commit those crimes. Now, if you're one of the few individuals that like to take their chance, maybe you're really skilled in martial arts and you got crazy kicks that you can do, or you're a super fast sprinter, that's completely fine. But I just think a video like this and in the story that I share will at least bring some type of awareness to y'all. I never thought this would happen to me. And I know a lot of my friends within the YouTube space, they were shocked just as much as I was because a lot of people visit my area. They've seen the neighborhood that I live in, and you just would not expect for someone like that to to be walking around with that type of intention. In my instance, I was just really lucky that I was able to get away from this. And I'm just really supportive of the community that I have. Like a lot of my subscribers, people within the Discord, a lot of my close friends, like people are sending me like prayers and just like, you know, really good words that help me just to process through that. Because the next day, like I couldn't film a video. We had the Ethereum merge. We were going to do a live stream, but I legit just could not film a video because I was thinking so much about what could have happened and all the things that I could have done differently too. So it's definitely some crazy times we're living in now, but out of the whole situation, you know, your boy was able to hit the jets. It was good exercise at least. It was like a quick unintended hit cardio session right there. And from that, I'm going to be watching my back a bit more, just being a little bit more careful whenever I go out. Anyways, folks, that's the video right there. Hopefully you're able to find some value. If you have any crazy story like that, or if you learned something new from this, definitely let me know down below in the comments. No secret word, just share with me your story. I'm gonna be reading every single one of these comments and maybe even just replying back to some of the stories too. Thank you all so much again for watching this episode. We'll be back to our usual content soon. This Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. What is really cool, this is actually very exciting, but YouTube is flying me out to their own little secret YouTube Creator Summit convention. And in the previous years, out of all the YouTubers that exist, only about 100 to 200 of them actually get invited to get, you know, flown out. I'm gonna be learning about like YouTube Shorts and learning the secrets of building a team and how to get away from creative burnout and just, you know, networking with some other creators. So I'm curious to see what other YouTubers have been invited and who I'm gonna meet there, but I'm planning to do a vlog. I know a lot of you guys are asking, Brian, hit us up with a vlog, please. So that'll be coming out soon. But in the meantime, stay safe out here, stay jungy, and I'll see y'all soon. Peace.